All right, this is the second presentation for safety. We're going to be covering different types of administration and things that we can do to help apply and improve performance and create a safer environment in the weight room. So there are three things we're going to cover: time management skills, some most effective ways to use our time in the weight room, some organization, how to organize teams and groups so that we can be more effective, and then applying those plans, the best and safest ways to apply the workouts. All right, time management tips and recommendations. We need to teach the athletes beforehand. They should know what to expect before they even go in the weight room. So what we have to do is make sure before we start our off-season workouts or preseason workouts, whatever it is, that there's at least one classroom session that we cover rules of the weight room, where their groups are going to be, who they're going to be grouped up with, what to expect in the weight room, what to do, what not to do, and possibly, show some different videos that they might, if there's some complex lifts that they're going to need to be familiar with beforehand, or are there terms or coaching cues that they need to be aware of. Make sure you're planning ahead of time. This means you're planning weeks and months in advance. Usually it's a whole phase. Usually it's a 2 or 3 month period, depending on the phase and where the breaks are in the schools and everything. So all that stuff has to be planned ahead, and then you can adjust the plan according to the results that you're seeing. Or maybe there's not enough lifts in each workout. Maybe you're ending up with too much time. Or maybe it's the other way around, and you need to be able to adjust that. But the overall plan is still there, and you're able to apply that. And the reason why that's important is because when you're thinking of big picture, what we want to try to accomplish, there are a lot of details that are thought through in the big picture of things, versus if Sunday I'm sitting down and trying to develop a week's worth of plan, you don't have the big picture view of what the goals are going to be. So it's important that you plan ahead of time and try to get as much feedback as possible. So when you're in the actual workouts, you need to have a timer, whether it's a timer on your phone or watch, or you actually have a coach that's responsible for each rotation on the lift. Okay, that's important. And then organization, the second part of our safety. How to organize the weight room effectively so that everybody can be safe and you can actually get more performance and more results out of your team. Each rep and each set needs to be counted on a coach. Okay, and it's important that you at least start out this way, because if you don't, then it's going to become commonplace. Competition is going to become less and less important in the weight room, so you need to be able to make sure everybody is getting the work in that they need to get in. You have to be effective as possible in the weight room, so this is important. Make sure that if there's a coach or maybe even a leader that actually has stepped up in the weight room, that can be that person that's counting for everybody. I think that's important. It creates a really engaged group if a leader does it, but some teams don't have that, so it's important that coaches are there to be available for that. And then there should be an explanation of routines and lifts. This is where we as coaches actually be a little long-winded here, so it's important that there's a time limit on that. So you got 60 seconds to explain this lift. Here's how it looks. Here are three coaching cues that you need to be aware of as you do it, and then you coach on the run. And then next, The plan should be made months in advance. We went over that, grouped the athletes up, and encourage leadership. Freshmen with seniors, if you can. Now, sometimes this is not available because the strength ratios are just way off, and maybe the height and weight are just way off. But try to get different variations and different groups. Don't just group them up with O-line. O-line needs to be with D-line. Post players need to be with point guards if possible. And then most importantly, I think the last part about this, you really can't see this, but we'll cover it some more, is be efficient. Use lifts as much as possible that don't require spotters. There are some days that are going to require spotters, but you don't want to use lifts that do, because you're trying to be as efficient as possible. And what we call it is a 75% rule. So 75% of the athletes on that team in the weight room, a minimum of 75%, need to be working or lifting at the same time. Okay, and we want to shoot 400 at all times. Okay, that means we're efficient and we're effective in the weight room. We're using our time effectively. We're getting better with everything that we do. And a lot of coaches do this when they plan practices, but they don't do this in the weight room. So it doesn't make any sense. And ask yourself a question. If there's a lift that requires a spot, example, bench press, is there something else that we can use that can be just as effective? Okay, I understand that sometimes you want to do bench press, whatever. But maybe there's a day out of that week we don't have to do bench press. Maybe we can accomplish something bigger and better here. Maybe we can do a weighted push-up. Maybe we can do a resisted push-up. Maybe we can do a band press. Whatever it is, to try to get the same amount accomplished and be more efficient with our time. That's real important in terms of organization. So it all has to be planned ahead. Safety and application. How many coaches are we going to use? And what are we going to be doing in the weight room? Are we going to have somebody that's on a whistle actually telling them when to rep? I think that's important in terms of safety. It gets people in the right place and doing the things that they're supposed to do. Otherwise, you're going to have problems, especially if you have more than one spotter. It becomes a attention deficit area. You don't want that. And then how does all of this apply to the progress and the results? Well, if a coach is actually applying this and an athlete skips reps, then that athlete is going to skip reps that next day because they continue to get by. Coaches only have two eyes, so it's really tough to see everybody doing what they're supposed to. Are they getting the right reps? Unless the coach is doing that. Now, if that athlete as a freshman ends up skipping 2 or 3 reps as a freshman every workout, it's going to end up affecting their junior and senior year. They're not going to be as developed as they need to be because we didn't use our time efficiently in the weight room, and because they didn't know how important it was, or maybe the competition wasn't there. Whatever it is, it's important that we use this in a safe manner. All right, so in review, in addition to, make sure you're planning ahead. It's really most coaches do this. Have a big picture in mind. If you're going to work out 4 days a week, have those 4 days a week planned out. Are those 4 days a week every week going to look the same, or are they going to be different? How are they going to progress? Okay, is the first week going to be a 3 times 10 and the second week 4 times 8? All that stuff needs to be considered beforehand so that you don't have a issue the day of. All right, today you're just going to throw something on the board, and not know the overall goal of what you're trying to accomplish. It just doesn't make sense. A lot of coaches and coaches are teachers and sport coaches, and then they don't have enough time to plan ahead, and that's where the training becomes very effective, and that's when people like us become very in a good situation, become needed. So that's important that you're planning ahead and everything's covered. Make sure you're staying on time. Start in the classroom. Cover the big picture and the goals you want to try to accomplish. Cover the testing. Give them motivation here. What the competitions will be. Go ahead and group them up. Have a leader in each group. Organize this in terms of how they're going to rotate and what time per lift, so that they know. And if you have a complex lift, make sure you show this on video so they know exactly what that lift should look like. Stay on time. Each lift ought to have a time limit. Make sure there's somebody keeping time. And then coach or leader counts those reps. Always use the 75% rule. And then also something that wasn't mentioned is how are you going to progress and regress those lifts? Today's athletes, no matter what their age, are going to be so different in terms of level of skill in certain movements. Some people can't do a single leg squat. Some people can't move laterally well. Some athletes can't skip, and all that stuff has to be in play here. So, and just give an example. If you're doing parallel squat or a back squat, let's say, if 100% of those kids or athletes are doing back squat, then you're missing the boat, because it becomes there are at least 25% of them that can't do it with the correct technique, even if you screamed in their ear the entire time. Because their body just doesn't allow them to do it. So you have to have some type of lift, progression, and regression. What are you going to do with those athletes? Are they going to be doing a overhead squat? Are they going to be doing a goblet squat? Are they going to be doing a wall squat? Are they going to be doing a single leg? What is it going to be, so that you know ahead of time, all right, I've got freshmen with seniors today. My freshmen are, for back squat, my freshmen are going to do goblet squat. So all that stuff needs to be planned in advance, and if you have the same lift for 100% of your athletes, you're really missing it, because they're not going to get the right progress that they need to have. You have to plan that accordingly. Make sure your groups are planned so that it allows for those groups to have regressions and progressions, and that could be really used as a type of motivation technique for the younger kids that can't do the things that they need to be able to do to apply those lifts correctly. Okay, that's important of the application. All right, here's some contact information for me. Please feel free to email me, call me, however you want to do it. If you want some more information, I'll be happy to send it to you. If I don't have the answer, I'm sure I might know somebody that does. If you want to know more about our consulting work, you can look at teamsportsperformance.com, and that should give you most of that information. And if you just want to know general information about some team training, that's the website mvptraining.net to go to. So hopefully this helped you keep those athletes rolling the right way, progressing. Hopefully you got a couple of tips that you don't do that you might want to apply. So that's our goal anyway. Thanks.